I am officially live. Excited. I'm going to request Linda now. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thanks so much for being here. Little lunchtime chat. Please say hello. I have officially requested Linda, so I'm hoping she will join me any minute. I shall send the invite once again. These things are always a little clunky in the beginning, so thank you so much for your patience. So exciting to see so many of you here. Thank you. All right. Technical difficulties. Thank you for your patience. I just sent it again. Anyway, I would love for you guys to say hello in the chat. I see some familiar names. I see some new names. I see some friends. Please say hello. All right, let me send it one more time. Yay, did it work? Yay! Awesome.
First time I ever did this.
It's a little clunky, but you know what? Once you get the hang of it, it works just nicely.
Cool. You can hear me already?
I hear
Look.
you perfectly. I see you perfectly. We have quite a few friends already here, so that's really exciting.
Excellent.
This is our first time doing.
So much fun.
I know. For those of you who don't know, Linda is a dear friend who I have started my writing career with. So I'm very, very honored, excited to be doing this with you. So I'm just gonna get started. I see we have a good amount of people already here, so I think we should just rock and roll. So I just want to say a big hello to our Highlights Foundation family. Thank you so much for being here. We're so happy to have you at our first time lunch hour chat. I feel like we usually host these things at night, so I said let's switch it up. But for those that may not know me, I'm Kat Galliano. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the social media manager for the Highlights Foundation, joining you from Westchester, New York, on the traditional and contemporary lands of the Siwanoy people. I am also a writer and a reader who is very excited for this lunchtime chat with our friend and faculty, Linda Epstein, about her upcoming mini course, Show, Don't Tell, Making It Real with Sensory Details and Small Actions. Now, Linda, I have to tell you that I was personally thrilled to see this pop up on our course schedule because it's a phrase that people have heard so much and that's so important in the craft of writing for kids. But we know that you're both an agent and an author. We also know that the feedback of Show, Don't Tell, that people get the feedback of Show, Don't Tell on their drafts a lot. Does that phrase have a different meaning for you depending on which hat you're wearing?
It has the same meaning. And before I got my MFA, which is where Kat and I met each other, I tried to teach Show, Don't Tell. I think it was at an SCBWI, and I couldn't do it because I didn't know how to explain it. When I became, I was always a writer, but when I was studying writing, that I really learned, like I got it in my head in a way that never left me. And I remember exactly when it was and who taught it to me. It was Jill Santopolo, amazing writer, amazing editor. And she was my mentor for my thesis. And, we had to write this big long thing, which actually turned into Repairing the World, my middle grade book from Simon & Schuster, which came out in 2022, whenever it came out, 2020, what is time? But I had submitted something, and it was a scene early in the book, when two best friends, who are the best friends in the book, Ruby and Daisy, are walking on this kind of like this tree has fallen down, and they're walking along the top. And I kind of had written something like, you know, they were walking across the tree and, you know, Daisy lost her balance, something I had, and it was very, very tell, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Jill said, Jill's feedback, and I can't remember now if it was like verbal feedback or if she had like written, I think it was verbal feedback. And she talked to me about Daisy touching Ruby's shoulders, right? And feeling the soft cotton of her t-shirt as she was gaining her balance. And all of a sudden, it was kind of like everything I ever knew about writing or thought I knew about writing kind of like focused in. And I was like, oh. So when I wrote my own book, one of the things that people say about my book is that it uses a lot of sensory details, and it does. And I think I've taken that experience as a writer. I used that knowledge, and I think I just like it exploded in my book. And then I kind of took that knowledge into my agent life. So when I get a manuscript to read, whether it's as an agent, I also do freelance editorial work, and I'm a book coach. And when I talk to people, I find that I'm talking to people about that all the time. Two things: using sensory detail to ground your work, about stuff, bringing the reader into the experience of what's happening in the book by pulling them into the experience. And there are parts where you need to tell stuff, right? Where it's like not about like a physical thing. But when something's happening, if your characters are talking to each other or performing an action, they're not doing it like in front of a green screen. You know what I mean? Doing it like in an environment where this thing's happening. And I talk to authors about it all the time. So as a writer, it's where I write. It's literally where I write from. As a reader, it's what I look for. And as an agent and an editor and a book coach, it's really what I talk to people about all the time. Sensory details and small actions, which is another thing.
I feel like,
but you have to take the minute to
yes.
find out what that is.
Basically, this is just a small sampling. If you want to know more and ask Linda all the questions, please sign up for her class. This is sort of like a small sampling. But yeah, I do think it's so important that this class, that you created this class, this mini, that we're sort of kicking off the new year with it, because it is something that I feel like as writers, we're told so often, show, don't tell, show, don't tell. But it's like, I don't think we've sort of stopped to step back and like reassess what that even means. And sometimes we're so deep in our work that we're just like, show, don't tell. But like, what does that even mean? So I'm, as a writer, personally excited because I know I have that problem. I'm sure a couple of our friends here watching have that problem.
I don't think it's a problem, Kat. I don't think it's a problem. I think it's just something that we need to learn as writers. We need to learn how to do, right? And I think that there's the words, right? Show, don't tell, and you can kind of understand what it means. And then in my mini and, you know, in my other work with highlights and outside of highlights, right? I have even longer courses, right, that kind of like go into that, like not only what it means, but how to do it. Those are two different things.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying. Like, I think we're so used to like the meaning of it, but not necessarily like stepping into it and thinking about it in a way of like, reteaching ourselves, or perhaps looking at it with a different lens, or whatever that is. Just
Yeah.
yeah. So I think we sort of answered the second question I had for you.
What was this?
But I kind of want to, which was, you're so passionate about this topic and teaching it. So mentioned to us before that understanding what show don't tell means, and then really making it happen are two different things. So basically, what do you hope people take away from your mini?
I want people to have that same experience that I had with Jill, where they can see something in their own work and be like, oh, I want people to be able to get on the page what's in their head or their hearts about in the story onto the page. I hope people, I mean, that's like a big thing, right? That you might not get that out of a mini, but I want to at least give people the preliminary tools to either look at the work that they've already created and see where there are places that they could show more and tell less. And I also want people who are like in the midst of creating something, to create with that in their head, because it's a different thing.
Yes. And also, like a mini course, the minis that we offer at Highlights are just a small sampling. Mm-hmm. And so, like Linda mentioned, she teaches other courses for us, with us and outside of our organization. She also has her services outside of Highlights completely. So I feel like this is a great opportunity if you're thinking about it, if you're nervous, the price point doesn't hurt. So please come on in and sample away. Yeah. My third question for you, since this is a 3-question convo, is at what stage in the process do you tend to pay most attention to the aspects of your writing? Plotting and outlining, drafting, early stage revising, later stage revising, some of the above, all the above? Tell me.
So I'm a hypocrite. Sorry, I'm a hypocrite, because everyone says messy first draft, and I'm like, just get the story out, just put it down. I literally do not know how to write a messy first draft, because I need to know where my character is, what are they doing, what's happening around them, in order to like create the scene. So, for example, I'm in revisions now. I have an adult novel coming out in early 2025 with Ali Malinenko and Liz Parker, and it's called The Other March Sisters. Yes, it's about those March sisters. And we got our revisions back, and turns out that they're like, I need to write new scenes, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, so I've been away from this manuscript for a while. And the part of the story that I'm telling is Amy March in Europe. So when I'm looking at what are these new scenes, I'm like, well, where is she? And then when I realize, well, she's somewhere that I didn't put in the first part. So I'm literally took a weekend. I'm like, this is where I'm gonna bang it out. Messy first draft. I lied to myself. I ended up doing I do a lot of, because it's historical fiction, right? So I end up doing a lot of research while I'm writing, so that I can know where my character is. What are they like? Where am I going to set the scene? What are they doing? What's happening? What was the weather in Heidelberg? You know what I mean? At this time of year, I don't know. So I feel like I personally, I'm showing a lot when I'm writing, and I think also I happen to write books that are not necessarily plot heavy. They're very character heavy. So if you're going to have a lot of talking and thinking, they have to be somewhere and be doing something. So it's really important that part's interesting. Otherwise, it's just like talking heads and nothing's happening, and nobody wants to read that book. So, I feel like I do a lot of that in my creation, in my thinking, my pre-writing,
Mm-hmm.
in drafting. Probably not so much in revision because I'm a very slow writer and because I don't follow the advice that I give to everyone and everyone gives to everyone about messy first drafts, that there's so much in there already that sometimes I have to dial it back a little bit. Like, nobody cares about all of this stuff you're showing. So she's sweating and wiped her brow. No, it doesn't impact anything. Don't, you know what I mean? Like that. So,
Yes.
um, so I feel like for me, it's a lot in the creation. Other people who are faster writers, or know how to write a messy first draft might be able to like write their story, get it out, and then go back and be like, okay, over here I said, she walked into town. How am I going to show that? And how am I going to show
Mm.
into town instead of saying she walked into town and was very angry? It's like, well, that's boring. First
Yeah.
of all, it's boring. And second of all, she walked into town and was very angry. That doesn't pull your reader into the experience of a character walking and being angry. Whereas if you go on the walk with your character and is it hot out? Is it cold out? Is it windy out? Is she on a busy street? Is she on a, is it, are there other people? How do we know she's angry? Is she like, are her fists clenched? Is she clenching her jaw? Is she like got an expression on her face? That's all showing.
Yep.
So someone else who isn't me could go back and do that, and then it would be in the revision process. There's no right way to write. There really isn't.
Well, I, for one, will definitely be taking your course because I know I have that.
You need to learn. Something
I need
else.
to learn exactly what we're talking about. I need to learn to show and not tell because for those of you that may not know, I used to be a journalist and I used to write for TV. So I've had a long existing issue of trying to fluff something up a little bit more instead of what Linda just gave the example of. I walked into the store angry because that's really what I had to write before. So
And,
my learning curve has been kind of learning to show more.
and it's interesting because I've noticed that people who come from like a screenwriting background or journalism background, sometimes even picture books, they don't need to do that.
Yeah.
Like writing a picture book, you don't need to show, don't tell, because the
Yeah.
pictures are going to show, right? So, and like when you're writing a screenplay, like you write it, I don't know how to write a screenplay, but like she walked in angry, and it's like the actor
Yep.
angry, you know, and you just have to deal with like the dialogue and the action. So,
Yeah.
um,
I think that's actually such an important thing that you're saying because with like journalism, screenwriting, picture book, like the language is so tight, you don't have room to do anything else but say the thing. So I feel like this course would be amazing for anyone who's either pivoting or wanting to explore or just simply need to learn a little bit more how to extrapolate all those words that they have in
right,
their head and they're literally just writing walked into the store angry.
that's kind of that's kind of why when you say, I have that problem, it's like, I really don't think it's a problem. I think it's just another thing that we need to learn. It's
Yes.
like if you were learning how to write poetry, you would need to like learn how to do some of those things,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes. Oh, I am so excited. Literally already signed up for January 9th. So those of you that haven't, please do
Do
so.
it.
Um,
I'm really,
yeah, Linda, so
really excited to teach this course.
is there anything else you wanted to let our family, our highlights family know or anyone interested? Because my three questions are finished, so I just wanted to
Um,
pass it over to you.
I don't, like buy my middle grade book, Repairing the World.
Yes.
Uh, I,
It's holiday
I also
season.
I've got a self-published poetry book called Read, which is poetry for adults, and you can buy that on my author website. I think there's a link there. My author website is lindaepsteinauthor.com. And yeah, and just I think that's, like buy my books. When there's an opportunity to pre-order the other March Sisters, do that too. Um, and also, here's what else I want to know. I want everyone to know. So it's the end of the year, and I want everyone to know how much I value highlights, the Highlights Foundation, and the people who work for the Highlights Foundation, because participating in teaching with highlights has really helped me grow as, you know, an author and an agent and a human being. Being part of the Highlights family is really important part of my life. So I want to share that. I want to thank, you know, you and all the people affiliated with Highlights for that. I've met some of my closest friends ever at Highlights.
We love you, Linda. Thank you so much for
Is
that.
that
We
it? Are we done?
we
We don't
Yeah,
have
I just have my little outro that I'm gonna give,
oh,
and then we're gonna wrap it up. But if you'd like to learn more from Linda, like she said, you can visit her website, lindaepsteinauthor.com, or you can register for her 2-night mini show Don't Tell, Making It Real, with sensory details and small actions, taking place January 9th and 11th at 7 p.m. Eastern. So right after the new year, things are going to calm down a little bit, and then we're kicking off. So we hope to see you. If you can't come to the course live, we want you to know that you can still register and get the recordings emailed to you after the close of the course. So let's say those 2 dates are not good for you. Please sign up anyway. You will have availability to watch the recordings for a month. So that way you can watch as many times as you want, take as many notes as you want, even if you're not interacting with us live. Her books are also available to purchase on our virtual bookshop powered by bookshop.org. And thank you, Linda, for joining us today. And we can't wait to see you online again.
do this all the time. Let's like talk to people, you and
Yes,
me. I love
yes, always, you know. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.